Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MTL podcast. We are your hosts, Markel and Lawrence. And today we are talking about the XFL. Our NBA regular season team grading series will continue with the Pelicans and Raptors. And we'll also talk about heavy NBA playoff action this weekend. Let's get into it. All right, everyone. First topic of the day, we're going to be talking about the XFL. If you guys don't know already, they are one of the newest football leagues to start in the U.S., along with the USFL. But anyways, we want to talk about them today. Just talk about their success. This is their second season back, but the first season under new ownership, headlined by The Rock, who has implemented a multitude of changes for the league, and I think the results are starting to pay off. Wouldn't you say so, Lawrence?
Oh man, I'm a big XFL watcher. I would agree that is a very good statement to make. I mean, the first time the XFL was around, it was, well, biasly saying, as a DC fan, it was a success. But the new launch of the XFL has been amazing. I mean, I think it has to do based on the dedication that the owners have for the league. As I say that, what I mean is that, if you watch the first weekend of the XFL, so it was The Rock, and the two other owners. They decided to go to every single game. They took a plane from one stadium to the next stadium to the next stadium to the next stadium. Now, to be fair, most of the games took place in Texas, but they were able to get from San Antonio to DC within less than 2 hours. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive in itself.
Man, that jet must have been zooming.
Oh, he's got the good bucks to buy whatever jet he wants.
Big bucks.
Big bucks. Their biggest support is Under Armour, but I mean the secondary owner besides The Rock, she is the big part of Under Armour. She's a big spokesperson in that. She owns a lot of money in that. So they're backed by Under Armour. You got to think about the idea of the XFL, and we're going to talk if we want to talk in terms of longevity, in comparison to the other league coming up in the USFL. We'll just stick to the XFL right now. You got teams like Houston, Seattle, St. Louis, DC, San Antonio, Arlington. You got Orlando, and then finally you got Vegas. It's easy to say that the two leaguest teams in terms of fan base and also record are Vegas and Orlando. Both teams, let's just say they're bottom of the table, but they also lack like a good fan base. However, you look at some of these other teams like DC, St. Louis, Seattle, Houston, and Arlington. We can throw in San Antonio there, but if we really want to get down to it, DC and St. Louis, like their fan bases are incredible. It's amazing. Oh, they're great. For the last being a DC fan now, just because we're in the area, and let's be fair, we can argue that if the XFL has good success, you might have a hard time getting some fans to pull back away to the Commanders. I mean, a lot of the fans that are going to these games in DC that are watching the Defenders are, for the most part, Commander fans. But the Commanders owner doesn't give a crap about the fans. The Commanders, and you go to their games, they're outnumbered by the other team. It gives the Commander fans another outlook on life. Basically, when they go to these DC Defender games, they're the only fan base there, and they can go crazy. I mean, we throw lemons at the other team when we're mad.
Not we, don't include me.
I've never done it.
Yeah,
I never did it, but we're fans of DC, so we're going to call ourselves we here. We as fans, we throw lemons. Not us intentionally. We don't do it, but the fan base does. And St. Louis and DC have gone back and forth selling out their stadium, which is
Mhm.
incredible to be honest. But it's a given fact that St. Louis should do pretty okay due to the fact that, well, the St. Louis Rams used to be inside that stadium, so it actually fills that void of losing the Rams. So
Many, many moons ago, yeah.
many moons ago, and then I get it. DC Defenders sell out their stadium, but they're also selling out a soccer stadium because it's technically DC United. But technically, if you want to talk about it, 18,000 people at a stadium to watch
Yeah.
an XFL game is still incredible. I don't
That's
know how you can complain about.
Yeah, I mean, Audi Field is like you said, it's nothing to like laugh at. Like
Mm-mm.
18,000 is still a lot of people. Plus, it's still a newish league, right? And
Yep.
um, the area just hasn't had football success in a while. So you would think that people are like, nah, I'm not going to go to this game. They're probably just as bad as the Commanders, right?
I
It's not
mean,
the case.
a little fact for yourself: DC has never lost a home game, even pre-COVID, before the new ownership.
Mhm.
DC has never lost a home game, and as of today, DC just comes off home field advantage in the playoffs. And basically, how the playoffs work in the XFL is the top two teams in each conference, which you got the XFL South and XFL North. They're going to go into a playoff game. The winner of that playoff game will basically go to the XFL Championship, which I think is going to be held in San Antonio because I know their home base. So basically, every team trains out of Texas, and then they just fly to the respective stadiums in order to play the games.
Mhm.
So it's looking like DC will either be playing St. Louis or Seattle. It was a pretty important game tonight, and Seattle turned out the victory versus the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Okay.
So currently at the moment, it's a tie for second. Whoever wins next week, and then probably have to do some other logistics to figure out who will be playing DC at home, aka Audi Field.
Mhm.
We'll be taking on probably, we can pretty much say, the Houston Roughnecks. They have clinched their division. They've clinched home field advantage in that playoff series. It would be between the Arlington Renegades and the San Antonio Brahmas. Now, if we
Mhm.
get down to it in terms of fan base, it goes St. Louis, TC. I think those are arguably, it's hard to figure out who's better. If you look at Twitter polls, like who has more Twitter followers, you're going to say St. Louis, but also DC's right behind them.
Okay.
If you talk about people at the stadium, you're going to say St. Louis just because they can fit more people in the stadium.
Mhm.
But if you talk about wild and craziness, I would probably go DC. So it's a very
Oh,
interesting
for
matchup
sure.
there.
No one
It's a
else is
pretty
throwing
interesting.
lemons.
Oh, no one else is throwing lemons. I mean, me and my girl we were watching the St. Louis Seattle game earlier, and the closest thing that they could grill on a barbecue in order to show intimidation was an alligator. So they have an alligator, and they were calling it a
What?
sea dragon. Oh yeah, they were calling an alligator a sea dragon earlier. So St. Louis is really getting into it, and it might be interesting to see St. Louis DC one
Mhm.
more time. We went to the first game, DC versus St. Louis. Might have to go to another. I might have to say some profanity again. That's neither here nor there. But if we want to talk about what this league means, I mean, there's a lot of good players coming out of this. I guess what do you want to say? Football league.
Yeah.
What do you think happens to them? I mean, case in point, Joseph for the defense for DC, he easily should be in the NFL. I
Mhm.
mean, you got other players like Josh Gordon, Philip Lindsay. I mean, Ben DiNucci, AJ McCarron. Like these guys used to play in the NFL.
Mhm.
They easily could play in the NFL.
Oh, for sure.
How do you think how do you think it's going to happen? I mean, I don't think you can draft them in the NFL draft. I don't think that's something that can be done. But
No.
could teams start picking up these guys as undrafted free agents? And is this just another step in the road for some guys? Like, okay, I didn't make the NFL the first time. I go to the XFL. I prove myself. Are we going to start seeing undrafted free agents left and right coming out of the XFL? Because I mean, as of right now, it easily could be that way.
Yeah, I mean, their success, I feel like for the XFL is going to be a lot of these kids that don't go, go undrafted,
Mm-hmm.
night three in the NFL draft. If they don't get that camp invite, hey, I'm going to go sign with one of these teams in in the XFL because I mean
Mhm.
the paycheck might not look as good, but the lights are still shining as bright. I mean, they play on ESPN. It's not hard to not find a game on. Um, and the exposure this season has been incredible. I mean, I foresee a couple of these kids that are playing right now. I mean, there's a good chance that some of them are going to get picked up. After the draft and after some of these big name players find new homes like D Hop and some of these other players I want to get moved around. So if a team has a need and they can't find that need through the undrafted, newly undrafted kids or some of these veterans, then yeah, why not take a look? And there's tape out there, like fresh tape. So why not like take a chance? I mean, it's not going to hurt anything.
I
And
mean,
it's
it's kind of hard to like pass up on like Josh Gordon right now. I mean, he's
mhm,
incredible in the XFL. He's making everyone look like an entire league below him. And the fact that he has Ben DiNucci, the next NFL quarterback, throwing him the ball is like also beneficial to him.
mhm.
But I mean, you got to see that and think to yourself, like, okay, the last team Josh Gordon was on, it may have been the Seattle Seahawks, but the last team that I remember was the New England Patriots. And Belichick did not give him a fair shot to make, like, not to make the team, but to do much on the team, just the way he runs that offense. So, I mean, he was a NFL wide receiver. He led the league in receptions at one point and yards at one point.
Yeah,
There's no reason like this XFL shouldn't be his like prove to everyone I deserve a second chance kind of mantra. I mean, outside of Orlando and Vegas, all these XFL teams have developed a very strong fan base. So moving forward, I understand there's three teams in Texas, but Texas loves their football. Obviously, you can tell by high school football, so that's nothing to be shout about or shy about. So heck yeah, I'll take advantage of Texas all I can. Maybe it might just take a few more seasons to figure out what they really want to be. Maybe move the team out of Vegas, maybe move the team out of Orlando to a I don't know a city or state, aka that would love them more. I mean, I really, like I said, I don't really know what the future holds for them in terms of longevity. Maybe down the road, because like we said earlier, a little bit about the USFL, maybe have a championship game between the USFL and XFL, kind of down the road. Whoever wins the XFL gets to play the winner of the USFL. Basically, you are outside of the NFL national champions of football,
something
outside
like
of
that.
college as well. I mean, yeah, I mean, it gives us something to watch in the off season. In terms of football related, I mean, other areas like England and France, Spain, etc. They got European soccer, and for the most part, European soccer is all year round.
Yeah,
Uh, for us football fans here in America, we get college and football at the same season. Basically, run the whole course together. Uh, college playoffs right before NFL playoffs, and then it's over. And you basically gotta wait 6 months until the next time a ball is thrown in the preseason. It does give a little bit back to the fans, and now there's two leagues coming about. Um, I mean, I guess it is a little bit uh, killing of the arena football because the arena football is technically dead now.
oh, they
Um,
long gone. I don't think they coming back.
no, it's just a little. I want to say redundant to watch. It doesn't resemble football much at all.
No,
And then you got the Canadian Football League, which I get it. It's nice. I've watched a little bit of it. I can't really get behind it just because,
they still doing their thing. I feel like there's like a
oh, it's
niche.
it's a niche in Canada,
Yeah, it's like a
obviously.
niche like thing for Canada, and I mean, same thing like some of these undrafted players or players that fall out of the league. They go up there and play. So I think it has its place, but I mean, I don't think it's more popular than the two leagues we have now.
I think the one thing the XFL has done really great at is not, I guess, not taking itself too seriously. Like they know that like they're not the top flight of football. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like when you look at English soccer. Like you're gonna have the championship and the Premier League. They take themselves very seriously. Once you get to League One, League Two, the teams stop taking themselves as serious, and it becomes more about the fans themselves than about the team. And I think that's something the XFL has done a really good job at. And then moving forward, I mean, like maybe if Orlando and Vegas don't work out, maybe make a team in Mexico. I mean, because the NFL has wanted to do that forever now.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock has his tequila brand and stuff. Like The Rock could easily put a team in Mexico, and people would follow it just because it's The Rock's name. And then you got to look at that in two ways. Like, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Like we're expanding outside of everything that we're comfortable with. But I mean, hell, the NFL wants to make a team in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the NFL just needs a test run. And maybe that's all the XFL is. It's just a test run to try new things with the NFL. I mean, the XFL has the former the referee, Dean Blandino.
Yeah, head of
Um,
like ref.
Head of officiating. He works in the XFL. I think something the XFL does a really great job at, and moving forward, that NFL could take note at, is being very open with penalties and stuff. Like they literally go up to the booth and they literally show them talking back and forth about the penalty. So you can look at that and you can say to yourself, okay, well, sometimes watching NFL games, I say, well, that's rigged because it just seems rigged. Like it just seems wrong. Like you can't call pass interference on that.
Yeah.
Why are you calling pass interference on that? That should be reviewable. The NFL just denied the ability to replay uncalled roughing the passers
Mm-hmm.
or called roughing the passer plays. You can't review that. They just said no to that. I think that's a little weak by the NFL. I mean, there's a separate league right now that everyone's enjoying the fact that you could talk about the penalty or no penalty called, and they'll literally work it out right in front of your face. Dean Blandino will talk to the head ref on the field, and they're going to the back and forth, and they're saying, "Well, I'm seeing this," and he goes, "Okay, you see that? Well, how about you go to the sidelines and you take a look at that play and see what you tell me." And then they literally, hey, he's watching it, and they're watching it back and forth, live time together. And then they go back and they come to the conclusion, and we got to see it all happen. It's not like the NFL where they just cut the commercial, we come back, boom, the play on the field is the play on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something that I thoroughly, I guess, as a huge fan of football, I enjoy that so much. It's because it's something that's not very hard, and if you want to be very, I guess, open about your sport, that's something that's super easy to just put out in front of everyone.
Yeah, but I mean, you already know these owners in
Oh,
the
the NFL are
NFL.
not going to do it. They're not going to do it. We already
No,
know they're
they
not. But
they.
I think they should be allowed to review more plays than they do in the NFL.
I mean, I do, but I mean, I think the way the NFL is set up is you need like a super majority to do anything. So it's just nothing gets done unless there's like basically collusion with all of them.
Yep.
Like we go back to how they changed up the rules for the Bengals and the Bills after unfortunately they couldn't resume play after Damar Hamlin his like freak accident or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they changed the rules to unanimously with like I think only like a couple teams like I think like two teams like voted against it and then like a couple like abstained. And then they changed the rules that were in like the rule book, or I don't know what they call them, but so the Chiefs got home field advantage, and then if for whatever reason the Chiefs and Bills met up, it would be at a neutral site, which would have been like the first time in like forever, right? So I don't know. These owners, they love the control. They don't want to give it up, even if it's like a good option for like the fans to get more involved, and it probably
Mm-hmm.
would bring more like goodwill towards them. But they just love control, and so anything like that is not going to get passed.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying exactly. Yeah, I just we can go back and forth on that. I just think moving forward, it's something that an NFL could take a look at. Like they literally made it so you could review pass interference
Mm.
or review not called pass interference. and then they don't do it. I guess it was just to make everyone shut up and be happy because
I thought they did that for one season, and they took it back because like every down they
yeah.
were like replaying it. Like every time it was
Well,
called, they were like replaying it.
you could only do it like once or twice a game or something like that. But
Mm,
it had to be like a really crucial moment. It had to basically be the Rams and Saints. I mean, the guy on the Rams completely laid out the Saints player.
yeah,
That was not cool. And the fact that like they didn't review it, that cost the Saints the game. Drew Brees got screwed out of another playoff series. I mean, it's a
yeah.
big deal.
They
And so
they pick and choose what they want to do. I mean, that's the NFL. But I
that's
mean,
the NFL.
it's good at the very least the NFL is acknowledging them,
Mm-hmm.
and the XFL and the NFL have like a partnership so that the any new rules or any new like innovations that they can come up with, the NFL will like think about implementing in their league. And you
Mm-hmm.
saw that this year with the first owners meeting, how there was like a vote to do like the new 4th and 15, or is it fourth and
Mm-hmm.
fifteen or fourth and
Fourth and
20?
15.
Yeah,
Fourth and
for the
15.
onside kick.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously the owners don't like that. They think it's really gimmicky. But at least
Yep.
like we're having those discussions. Like, okay, like it's obviously having success over there. Like,
Yep.
let's just see what the other owners think about it.
Well, I mean, I like the 4th and 15. I mean, like, could you look at the success rate of an onside kick? An onside kick success rate is like, I think the last time they pulled it was like 12%, like maximum was like 12%, like in
Probably
a
so.
season. It's
Yeah,
like 12% in its entirety. Okay. But a 4th and 15 is also pretty freaking hard. Let a guy go out there and throw a fourth and 15 from the 10-yard line. If he makes it, yeah, boom, they get the ball at the 25-yard line minimum. I
yeah,
mean, that's basically where you would gotten the kickoff back at. I don't see anything wrong with the 4th and 15. I also don't see anything wrong with the kickoff where they
mm,
line them each other up 10 yards apart from each other.
yeah,
The kicker kicks it off. You can't move until the returner catches it.
yeah.
I think if you gave that idea to a lot of the NFL players, they would be 100% about it because a lot of the injuries that happen in the NFL are on kickoffs, are on kick returns.
Yeah, I think if any new proposal should like be passed, I think it's that because it's the one that makes the most sense. Less injuries, less like you have one team running at your full speed, and another team is like backpedaling. Okay, he caught the ball, let's go and let's find somebody to block. Like,
Yeah.
I never understood it. Even when I played football, I didn't like playing kickoff and kick return because it's like, okay, if I'm on return, I'm gonna get pummeled, and if I'm on kick off, like either half the time the ball's either it's a touchback or I'm gonna have to go chase after some kid and probably get blindside blocked by some kid who's coming out of my blindside. So I think
And there's so many penalties on it as well. It's
yeah,
like it's so penalized. Even in the NFL, when they return a kickoff, half the time, oh, there's a blindside block or there's a block in the back. Well, I
yeah,
mean, it's kind of hard to do when the guy's 10 yards away from you. I just think it's a lot better. You also see a lot less kick returns,
mm,
but I also think that also has to deal with the fact that the level of play is a little different. I mean,
yeah. I mean
there's not the greatest returners in the
no the
XFL, but there's some scary NFL returners that could probably make it
the
work.
rosters are smaller too, so a lot of the guys are
Mm-hmm.
playing both sides of the ball, so they're not really trying on kickoff and
Mm-hmm.
kickoff return.
Yep.
So it's like, bro, if I'm playing both sides of the ball and kickoff and kick return, I don't blame them for letting stuff go by too.
Let's think about it a little bit. If we put Josh Gibbs to do a kickoff return, the same format that they're doing now in the XFL, I think he would thoroughly enjoy that. I think he could make some stuff happen.
I think he would like a guy like Tyreek Hill. He would love that because he
Oh,
would
he would
just
love it.
he'd be returning kicks left and right. Like
I mean, you see the 10 guys in front of you. You got your own 10 guys in front of you.
yeah,
All you got to do is find a lane, run through it, pass the kicker. That's all you got to do.
yeah. These guys that started off as returners and then find their role within the team. Oh no, they're going back to being a returner because you can get easy scores. Not
Yeah.
easy scores, but you do like your chances more.
Oh yeah, I think it makes the entirety of the returner. Like there's some guys who are great college returners. Did you give them the chance to do a return like this? oh man, they'll be twice as good. And then I guess that opens up a new position in NFL, like for payment. I mean, if a guy can do returns successfully, consistently in that format, I mean that opens up a whole new, basically roster spot. You got to pay, man, because I mean, I would pay a guy 5 to 7, maybe $10 million if he can return 5 kickoffs a year.
Oh, for sure. That's invaluable because I mean,
Nope.
then you're
Yeah.
putting the emphasis on like back on kick return and kickoff because that
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been a thing since arguably like Devin Hester. Like he's the last guy that you really had to like always like look out for. Like
Mm-hmm.
even when they were starting to shift the rules to like, okay, let's kind of like get rid of kickoffs for the most part. Like
Yep.
that guy, you still gotta keep your eyes on that guy. So I'm all for it. Um, let's hope the NFL owners are eventually all for it as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe they can get a. Maybe they can get the. Maybe they can get back into the reality of things and see what's working, see what's not. See
Yeah.
people are enjoying something, see people are not. I mean, I think a lot of people are enjoying the XFL. Give something to watch during the off season. I
Mm.
mean, the NFL drafts in basically a week, but it's something to enjoy, pass the time until then. So yeah, I enjoy the XFL. I know you do too.
Oh yeah,
DC fans, we always enjoy it.
we enjoy it. Going to the games and watching on TV. Either way, I love football, so I'll watch it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, up next we have our NBA regular season team grading series. Will continue. We have for this week the Pelicans and the Raptors, two teams that were eliminated in the NBA play-in tournament. We will break them down coming up next. All right, everyone, we're back. Now we're gonna get into our NBA regular season team grading. Let's start. Let's start with the Pels. Let's start in the Western Conference. So the Pelicans, recently got knocked out of the play-in tournament. Was it a disappointing season? I would say so. But I'm gonna let you take this one, Lawrence. What is your grade for the Pelicans for this past regular season?
The whole season,
Yeah,
like where it ended up.
yeah. Just include the play-in game, like all of
I
it.
mean, if you include the playing game, F. I would say outside the playing
Okay.
game, I give them a C plus. I mean, the playing game, I don't see. I don't understand how they fell from such great heights. I guess is the best way to say it.
Well, I could tell you.
Um, well, I mean, I could tell you too, but I feel like they shouldn't have. Um,
Yeah.
I think if you're the Pels, I think you're in this dilemma now. I think you're basically in this Zion dilemma. That's what I will probably say it is. Zion can't stay healthy. Um, CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram are very great together because those are the only two that ever play together. But you got to get Zion to a point in which he can consistently play throughout a series. I guess in the playoffs, because well, he can't even play in the playing game in the playoffs. He plays a good amount of the season, but he always gets hurt at some point, which everyone already speculated before going into the draft was going to be a big thing. Um, they decided to not listen to it. It paid off parts of seasons. It's also not paid off in other parts of the season. The fact that they're going to lose quite a bit of players like Herbert Jones, Willie Henry Gomez, Josh Richardson, and Jackson Hayes. I mean, yeah, you can probably re-sign a lot of those guys, probably Herbert Jones and Jackson Hayes. Outside the rest, I don't know. I'm just going to keep rocking back and forth because, I mean, I don't really know how to talk about the Pelicans in reality. I feel like they're a very big letdown because like
For
Zion doesn't
sure.
even have to. He doesn't even have to play center when he plays. He only has to play power forward. Because they have a guy that can play center for them and do all the tough paint work for them. And Valanciunas he's no slouch. He's good. He does everything you ask a big man to do. Get at least 15, I don't know, 12, 15 points a game. Give me 10 to 12 rebounds. Done, easy, end of discussion. He does everything you need a big man to do. and you're basically paying Zion to be a power forward to score a lot of points. He can score a lot of points, but he always hurt, and I think that's the main problem with the team. I mean, he hasn't played since January.
Mm.
I mean, the Pels. I mean, outside of the playing game, I give him a C plus. The playing game, because they lost it, I give them an F because they. I mean, you lost to the one of the youngest teams in playoff or play-in, playoff, whatever you want to call it, history. You literally lost a bunch of kids, and then they showed their age the next game against the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing I got to say for the Pels. I mean, moving forward, I don't want to say, but maybe see what you can get for Zion. Because I mean, the man never stays healthy. You're basically playing with another AD. You already had AD at one point. You're basically playing with another AD.
I feel like
So,
he's worse than AD. He can't. The man has played like in the past 2 seasons. He's played like or the past 3 seasons. He's played like combined like 90 games. He's worse than AD.
see what you can get for him. Like, damn, like what can you get for him? You could probably get something for him, but like something's better than nothing. I mean, half the time you're playing without him, anyways.
Yeah, you're not. This isn't a case of swap a star with a star. I feel like if you move them, you're getting probably 2 to 3 like really good young guys who have
Mm-hmm.
upside but don't have stardom yet, and
Mm-hmm.
then, like maybe a pick or two. But if I mean, you're not getting much.
No, and I mean you have talent there to grow something. I mean you got Valanciunas, you got CJ McCollum, and you got Brandon Ingram. I mean those guys can get you to the playoffs. They can pretty much get you to the playoffs. If you're not paying a guy to sit on your bench and get hurt the whole season, what else can they do? I mean, there's so much more they can do. That's not a factor on the table.
Yeah, I mean, for me at least, I feel like what I want to grade them is maybe not as harsh as you. I won't go F, but I definitely see like a C minus. I feel like this season was a huge letdown, like you said. Um,
F was very mean because of the playing game. I
yeah,
mean, I just think that's just mean. But I'd go C plus, C minus. You're right, but the playing game, the fact they lost to that young of a Thunder team is that's what did it for me.
yeah. I mean, I expect them to lose.
Yeah,
The
you
the
did.
Pelicans haven't looked well all season with Zion not playing, so I just expected them to lose to a younger team who wanted to prove themselves and
Hmm.
wanted to make a little noise. Um, but yeah, to go from like at one point they were like first in the West, like early January, and then Zion gets hurt and like the plummet from like number one to in the lottery is ridiculous. Like I don't understand. Like I mean, and I understand that Bi was hurt as well through periods of the season. Um, I think CJ was hurt in the beginning, so like maybe the three of them didn't play a lot. But I mean, it doesn't matter because at one point they were number one. So even if your biggest star, you know, is out for an extended period of time, you would still think that like CJ and Bi could like get them to like the playoffs. Like you don't have to be like a high seed, but at the very least, that team is constructed to be like a top six team.
Yep.
I mean, I just don't understand how you go from one to the lottery. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I think for me, I'm giving them a C minus. And like you said, they have a lot to think about this offseason. As far as like free agents, you already went over them, but I mean, Herb Jones is honest. I mean, that's a pretty easy one. He's a team option. They're gonna pick it up. Um, what to do with the other ones? I mean, you're probably letting them all go. Maybe Richardson, Josh Richardson, if it's for the right money, you bring him back.
Hmm.
Jackson Hayes, if he doesn't get like a tempting deal elsewhere, maybe you extend him
Yeah,
for
I
like
think Jackson
another
Hayes is extendable.
maybe like another 3 years and not a lot of dollars, but the kid has played well. It just hasn't blossomed to what he should be at this point. Um,
It's a pretty good role, though. I mean, Willie Herney Gomez and Najee Marshall. I mean, they could pretty much let those two walk. It'd be fine.
yeah,
I just think that I mean they don't have much salary to pay anybody, but
no,
that's also what, like I said before, like what are you gonna do with Zion? You either gonna have to tell the guy to lose some weight and
mm,
figure it out, or you try to move off of him, and I mean, there's got to be some sucker team that'll be like, yeah, we could make it work with Zion, and you
Yeah,
can get something out of nothing.
I don't think you move him just yet. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like Zion's playing the wrong position. Zion is built like a small forward. He should play small forward instead of having this kid keep up this much weight. Like he weighs like 280 and he's like 6'6". He's no bigger than Draymond, basically. You having
Hmm.
him play power forward? Like no, the kid needs to play small forward. Make him drop to like 250, 260. Like if he can't get to 250, okay, 260 is okay. And then start playing more like LeBron. I feel like he would have more success playing the three than the four. And Bi is
Yeah,
taller, so put Bi at the four, make him bulk up a little bit. Bi is still skinny, make him bulk up a little bit, get to Giannis level. I mean, you can't get to Giannis obviously, but I mean, you got to put some muscle in your frame, and then you play the four, play Valanciunas at the five. He's a great center. Does like you said earlier, does everything you want a center to do. You have CJ, you have Herb Jones who can lock down defenders 1 through 4. So it's no reason this team can't make a deep playoff run. I mean, the West
and
is
they got.
stacked.
I mean, and you can also use was it Jose Alvarado? You can use him as point guard.
Oh yeah, Grand
Um,
Theft Alvarado. Yeah, he's. I mean, you play him
yeah,
at the point and CJ at the two.
yeah. Well, I mean, Alvarado doesn't have to score incredible amount of points, maybe
Mm.
maximum 10 points a game. Just go out there, play with Herb Jones, and lock down. You two lock down, the other three score all the points. It's pretty simple math here.
Yeah, they have too much talent. I mean, they got Trey Murphy, they have Herb Jones, they have Alvarado, Hayes. Um, Too much talent for this team to like fall from like great heights, like literally like heights of the top of the West to the top of the lottery. This is crazy. Um, yeah, I mean that's just my little spill about
I
them.
mean, I also think that just shows how much the team is built around Zion, which might be a problem. The fact that you can go from top of the West to ninth in the, well, basically ninth in the West at the end of it, and just basically the All Star break and on. I mean, I get it. There's a month before the All Star break, but I mean, if we're talking about the All Star break, I'm pretty sure at the All Star break they were like fourth or fifth. So you
Oh
went from
yeah,
fourth to fifth to.
they were plummeting, and that's probably why he got his All Star like starter because they were still like relevant in the playoffs.
Mhm.
But I mean, if they had fell quicker, like if they went from like 1 to 8 before the All Star, he probably wouldn't have made it, or he would have been a backup.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, the team is kind of built around Zion, but at the same time, they have enough firepower, like I said, like to at least stay afloat. Zion's just like the extra, like it's like the cherry on top. Like he's just superstar level talent who can do like crazy, unimaginable things for you on both on offense and defense. A force to be reckoned with, and not many teams can like guard him. I mean, he's basically unguardable. So
Yeah.
it's just it's sad, really.
So moving on to the Raptors, I'll ask you this one first. What's their off-season grade? Sorry, what's their season grade? And what's their moves in the off-season at this point?
Yeah, coming off of last season, the Raptors. I'm gonna be more harsh than I was on the Pels. Like the Raptors deserve a D. Like the Raptors have all of these puzzle pieces, and they've yet to put them all together. And not, I mean, it's just speaking as I mean, I'm a Raptors fan in terms of like I like all the young talent. I like what they've built, but it's just like again sad to see that they can't like reach their potential because they have all the pieces together, including like all these like they still have all the draft assets. So it's like okay, like I think you can at this point like start to cash in because you have a bunch of players on your roster that need to get paid. So if you don't cash in now, you're gonna hurt yourself on the back end. And this off season is the back end. So they have a lot of tough decisions to make. But as far as the regular season, yes, a D. Like They should have won the playing game. They were up by like almost 20 at one point, right? And
18.
then the Bulls came back and won.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
I think they missed half their free throws.
You miss
Somehow, some way, you miss all your free throws basically in the playoffs.
and you played at home. You should have won. You were at Toronto. You should have won. Yeah, it's a D for me. What do you have them?
Well, I had him a D minus. I was just putting that little minus because you gave him a D. I was going to give him a D minus. I mean, they don't have any more money, basically,
No.
which I think is a big thing. They don't have any more money to give any players. They're going to figure out what they're going to do with Van Vliet. Um, I mean, Gary Trent Jr., you went out and got him. He's going to be pretty much walking. He's got a player option. Jacopo, you went and got him. If you're going to go get somebody, you're probably going to have to keep him. So
Yeah.
Jacopolo's probably staying. Otto Porter, Will Barton. I mean, there's a lot of guys in this roster that are just leaving. I mean,
Otto Porter was
I think the time is
was
up.
yeah. Otto Porter was hurt, so he's probably cashing in his player option for next year. But this team will not be the same team come next season. Like you said, a lot of these guys are leaving,
Mm-hmm.
and rightfully so. Go get the bag.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, so they're going to pay Van Vliet. That's a given. He's going to get paid.
You think so?
You're going to pay him whatever. Well, he's got a player option, but you're going to have to pay him something. I mean, he's going to want money. He's proven time in and time out that he's a good asset to your team.
Yeah.
If you don't pay him, someone else is going to pay him. So, I mean, something's going to go down with him. Gary Trent, I mean, he was good for the Trailblazers. He was good for the Raptors. He's consistently proven that he's good for whatever team he plays for. And he's a consistent defender. Some teams need that. Like we said last time with the Mavericks, like the Mavericks need a defender. And also need a defender that'll go get some points.
Yeah.
Gary Trent is a good defender that can go get some points.
Yeah, Trent's a good 3-and-D player. Van Fleet, good 3-and-D, can facilitate, really good point guard in this league. But I guess it depends on what direction the Raptors want to go. They do have a lottery pick, so there's this draft has pretty good talent in the lottery. So they could, if they scout and develop well like they usually do, they could find a hidden gem in the lottery. And then from there, you have to think about, okay, well, do you want to extend your coach, Nick Nurse? He does have one more year left. You're kind of trending in the wrong, direction as a team. Like, does he want to come back even? Like, these are all questions that have to be answered this offseason to kind of figure out what direction the team wants to go. Because I don't think they're not going to pay Van Fleet if Nick Nurse just walks and
Yeah,
goes
I know what
goes
you're saying.
elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at it another way. Like, the team is built really big. The team is built big. Podol, Siakam, OG, like, they're all kind of big guys.
A lot of the guys play the same position, like Barnes, OG, Precious. A lot of the guys play the same position, so it's I understand like you want to grab as much good talent as you can, but as I was saying earlier, like at some point you have to cash in, like
Mm-hmm.
you have to view these players as assets, and you have Siakam, you have Van Fleet, two good All-Star caliber players. Hey, let's cash in a couple draft picks and a couple of good players, and let's go get KD was available. They could have got KD.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie was available. They could have got Kyrie. Uh, you know, there's going to be some player on the market this offseason. And if they can, convince Nurse to stay and, they throw the bag at Van Fleet, I think it's time to go cash it all in. This is the last chance you get. Cash it in, and maybe someone like Levine is unhappy, even though he's 1 year into his supermax deal. Like, okay, so say if DeMar wants to leave,
I
you
mean,
know,
yeah, you can bring DeMar back.
I don't know about all of that, but I'm just saying, like, hey,
You're talking about Bulls, you can bring DeMar back, but I know what you're saying. I think you probably want a younger talent. I mean,
yeah, so that's why I said Levine. Like, Levine's still young. He's 1 year into his supermax. Like, you could probably make the money work.
yeah, there's a lot of guys they should go after. There's a lot of guys they can go after. I mean, there's just a lot of things they can do. You just got to put basically, you just got to put your thoughts on the table. Say here they are. Nick Nurse is gonna have to talk with the GM and basically say, yeah, like I got one more year left in me because I got one more year left in my contract. I got one more year left in me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go make it work. Like I got a lot of the same talent. I mean, I can use the lesser of our good talent to make up for the fact. Like, I mean, Barnes is a heavy asset right now. Scotty Barnes, you can give up Scotty Barnes for a whole lot. A lot of teams will give a lot for Scotty Barnes, and you can give a younger talent for an older talent that you might need. So there's just things you can do. It's just playing with those pieces, like you said. Don't treat it like a family. Treat it like an asset.
Yeah, I mean I get that they all are one family, and they all played together for a couple of years, so it's kind of hard to like kind of break it up, but you know the writing's on the wall. It's not. I mean, Nick Nurse is pretty much maxed out this group of guys, so I think we need a shake up in Toronto, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, there goes our regular season grades for the Pelicans and Raptors. We will continue this next episode, so stay tuned to that. Alrighty. So next topic, we are going to talk about NBA playoffs. Heavy on the NBA playoffs this weekend, as all 8 matchups played this weekend from the East to the West. We will talk about those coming up next. All right, folks, we're back. Now, time to kick off our coverage of the NBA playoffs that happened this weekend. Let's start with Saturday's games, and we're going to go in order. So, first up, we have Philly versus Brooklyn. Happened Saturday. I think it kicked off at 1-ish or noonish, whatever the case is. So, Lawrence, what did you see in that first game for Philly and Brooklyn?
I mean, to be honest, what it looks like it looks like a Suns role players. I mean, that's a little harsh to call McCall Bridges, but we'll just say he's the third sung hero on the Suns. So basically, it's just the Suns role guys versus this awesome squad Philly has asked us to trust the process for a couple of years now in order to get to this point. I mean, it doesn't. I don't want to say it feels forced that Brooklyn's here, but I mean, obviously they're not the team that we all thought was going to be here. But they did a good job righting the ship in order to get to the point where they are, in order to keep their pretty much a top spot in the East. I guess things that I noticed was like Joe Harris. Like he only had 3 shots the entire time, and he played 15 minutes. That seems a little wonky. I mean, the man's known for 3-point shooting, and he only got 3 shots, but 15 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith in the starting lineup, but only played 17 minutes. That was, I mean, kind of questionable there, what they're doing with that one. I mean, outside of that, the only talking points really is Claxton's 10 rebounds, Cam Johnson's 18 points with McCall Bridges' 30 points. So that's 48 points from the former Suns players, like I said. And they only scored 101 points. So basically half the points are coming from the former Suns players.
Yeah.
And you got Dinwiddie giving the ball to him. I mean, kind of what it looks like is something that as the current game is taking on right now, the second game in the series as it's going on now, it just seems like the 76ers want it more. And I don't know if it's the fact that they want it more or it's just that let's face it, the better team and they won it. So it's just going to make it look like they won it more. But I guess it was just things in the lineup that I didn't really get with the Nets, what they were doing. I guess they were trying to get matchups, trying to figure out what kind of game they wanted to play against 76ers. But then again, they were down most of the game, so I guess you got to try something.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I saw, I just remember Philly just. I'm not going to say they dominated the first half, but they definitely put their like foothold in the game in the first half. The Brooklyn was able to keep it close in the first half. Mikal Bridges was, pretty much getting whatever he wanted, whether that was at the rim, mid range, little 10-foot floaters here and there. But it's like you said earlier, it was pretty much just him and Cam scoring the boatload of points throughout the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So just looking at this Brooklyn Nets team, I mean, they have like firepower if you think about it. Seth Curry, Joe Harris, uh, Mikhail, Cam, Spencer. Like the firepower is there, but it's just kind of like the Raptors situation where it's just like a lot of the players play the same position. Like a lot of like the thing
Yeah.
about the Nets is a lot of 3-and-D guys, and that would be great if they had a superstar like they used to have, like KD and Kyrie. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, at this point, let's be honest, like they have a borderline all star in Mikhail, and you know he's just starting to blossom into his own because beforehand we just saw him as like a 3-and-D guy, but like the pinnacle of like what's that supposed to be because he was arguably almost defensive player of the year last year, and you can't expect a kid that almost won defensive player of the year to like, oh, he's a full blown superstar now that he's, basically
By himself.
by himself. So hats off to them for keeping it close, but Philly's just too dominant, too much firepower on their end on offense and defense. And it showed in that second half because Brooklyn couldn't keep
They
up.
just took care of business. I guess there's another thing you could say, like the Brooklyn Nets seem a little small. Even in their big man, Net Claxton. I mean, let's face it, Claxton's not beating Embiid. Never in a day's chance is Claxton gonna outpunish Embiid.
No.
He's just gonna have to hope Embiid doesn't want to fight in the paint all night. Because if Embiid wants to fight in the paint all night, oh, it's gonna be a problem. But then we also see those kind of games where Embiid wants to go out to the 3-point line and try to shoot threes all night. For what reason? I don't know. As a big man, when you get a matchup like Claxton, you should be able to dominate in the paint the whole night. Let's do it for 4 games straight. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
He's a skinnier guy. You're a big man.
And Claxton, he was early on mentioned in Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he was playing his tail off on the defensive side when KD and Kyrie was there. But I think now that he has, Dwayne Finney-Smith and Mikhail, it's like, okay, now I have 2 other guys that can play outstanding defense. Maybe I don't have to try as hard. So maybe that's like kind of him falling back to earth a little bit. But, I mean, he's no slouch on defense. But like you said, Joel's a monster, most likely the
Mm-hmm.
MVP. So it's a
He
tough
should be able to take
matchup.
care of that real easily. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Philly surprised me with the defense. I mean, the Nets, I mean, like we said, don't have enough firepower, but the fact that the Nets really put like the clamps in the second half was surprising because I thought they were just going to let this be like a shootout almost. But no, in the second half, they really kind of closed in on the defense.
Yep. I agree. I think it was just overall really strong from the 76ers. I think they're just gonna, kind of let some people have said in the media. It's like they just need to go out there and prove that, like, yeah, we're a number 3 seed and we're a number 3 seed for a reason. If the other 2 teams at the very top weren't so good, we would be up there as well. And in a second, we'll take a look at the Atlanta and Boston matchup and kind of see the same exact thing spurring up there. Kind of the East seems, I don't want to say taken care of, but like for certain matchups, you can already see what direction it's going to head.
Yeah, unfortunately, because you want every playoff series to be kind of competitive, but
Mm-hmm.
in the case in the East, it looks like you said, a couple matchups might be already heading to like
Yeah.
predetermined, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's how some series go. So, like I said, in a second we're going to take a look at the Atlanta Boston matchup. A quick point of mine that I saw is Atlanta. Their bench was pretty pitiful. Boston proves they got a good bench, and something that I thought was a little wild was Murray took 25 shots, and basically, Smart he just gets to play. This is one of those matchups where Smart he just gets to play defense the whole time. Yeah, we all like to score points and stuff, but I don't think Marcus Smart has any problem going out there, letting Tatum and Brown do their thing and smash the other team up. And Smart just gets to put lockdown after lockdown on Murray and Trae Young.
Yeah, I mean, this is the series for him. I mean, it always seems like no matter who they play, Atlanta's guards always gets picked on. Like, you can go back to last year, like, Miami just picked on Trae, just picked on him. And that's why they went out to get a guy like Murray. But you see this year that Smart's just picking on Murray and Trae, and then just switching off. And then Derek White's also a very good defender. He should be,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be in consideration for, all NBA defense. So, like, we have two guys that can really defend on a high level and kind of not like neutralize the other team's like best guards or whatever, but kind of like make it hard for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes it that much harder, especially for a 2 versus 7 matchup.
Especially when a team like Atlanta, where all their points seem to come through their guard play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how they want to score their points. And let's face it, we get Smart and White out there, we can take away their guard play. So then we're going to tell them to beat us with your big men. And their big men are not notorious for doing that. But,
yeah.
I mean, taking a look at the shot selections and field goal percentage, I mean, I guess we have to kind of question why John Collins isn't getting more. I wouldn't say he's getting plenty of playing time.
Yeah.
Why John Collins isn't getting enough action? Like he's proven himself valuable over the years. I mean, maybe there's a matchup disparity right there that he can take advantage of. We're not noticing it. We can't notice it because they're not using it. But he has a very good box score. I can't lie, I didn't watch much of this game after that first half, but
no.
taking a look at it, like he played decently well. I mean, we're also going to have to take a look at the fact that they were out rebounded 58 rebounds to 45, and they really made that count. And Atlanta went 5 for 29 from the 3-point line. That can't happen. I mean, you're going to have to go through the paint and challenge old Horford's bones down there in the paint.
I mean, yeah, the Celtics do have a good interior line with Big Al and Time Lord Robert Williams, but like you said, Atlanta's bigs aren't notorious for scoring points. Like, John Collins has been on the trade block like the past 2 years, so obviously
they don't want to use him.
I mean, they're not using him correctly, but at the same point, he's not kind of living up to his contract, so I can see both sides there. Clint Capella, always just been a rebound machine. I'm not expecting too much out of him. Although, when I do check Atlanta's games, for the most part, his box score is like 10 and 10. So, I mean, that's pretty much what you want from a big man anyway. So, again, no complaints there. And then, other than that, like, they have like this weird rotation of, do we want to play Hunter, who we just paid, or, we just paid Bogdanovich, do we want to play him? It's just kind of weird. Like you were kind of saying earlier, it's just like they don't know really where they want to go with their kind of front court. Like it's just all over the place, even with the new head coach in Snyder. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, variable questions right there. I mean, the fact that Murray took more shots than Young, and Young is your superstar, big flag. I mean, we'll talk later on about that with the Suns and shots taken by certain players. But, I mean, yeah, looking at that matchup, I mean, there's just certain things that you just have to scratch your head on. And I guess it is kind of, Snyder, he didn't really get to put his stamp on the team. Like,
No.
he's figuring this team out. He basically just got it. He just inherited it.
for like
He's got to figure it
at
out.
this point like 2 months because he got hired like around All-Star break, so it's been 2 months.
He got hired. He got hired with the thought of I have to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Now that I've made the playoffs, now what do I do? Now I got to figure out how I want to make this rotation work. When we can't really see what the rotation is doing, he doesn't know what he has in certain guys, like you said.
Yeah.
I think this is just going to be one of those probably Boston and 4, Boston and 5 kind of matchups, just like we said earlier, 76ers and 4, 76ers and 5 kind of matchup.
Yeah. Seems
I
like
think the real juicy one comes closer up.
Yeah. Just one last thing on this matchup. It just seems like, we're just talking about Snyder and how he just took over, but it kind of feels like he was brought in like literally with 2 months to go. Like you said, like, okay, can you make the playoffs with this roster? And then once you do, like, he's kind of like evaluating like who he wants in his future team. Because like all the rumors with like Collins, like we said earlier, and the rumors with Trey, like they literally dropped trade rumors for Trae Young before his playing game versus Miami. So it's like, okay, you're already kind of setting the seeds for your off-season moves and what you're, potentially thinking about doing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you've had the same group of guys playing basically, I don't want to say the same minutes, but you've had the same core for at least 3 seasons now.
Yeah.
I guess you did make a cute little run in the playoffs, but in reality, you haven't done really anything exceptional. I mean, I guess that's a little harsh, but I think sometimes it's like you got to stir the pot, and maybe the fact that no one knows what they want to do with John Collins on that team is good enough reason to trade him away so you can get some kind of piece for him, like anything.
Yeah, him. And then, like I said, like the rumors about Trey, I mean, they started last offseason, but like the fact that you start new trade rumors the day of his game and he has to play through that, I don't know. It's just, you never know in the NBA, but I imagine that was kind of hard to play with if I was Trey.
Mm-hmm. Give some more incentive to get someone to trade for me. Yeah, I mean, Boston's not the matchup. Let's be honest with you, dear Atlanta.
Yeah, there was never any hope unless a major injury happens, but that's neither here nor there. Let's move on, shall we, to our third game of the day. Our New York Knicks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, just looking at that game, I knew just like before when we did our previews, I knew that was going to be the matchup of the East. The series that was going 7 for me was definitely them. And who would have thought that the Knicks, Julius Randle was probable before the game, and he said he'll test out his ankle. I think was the injury that was listed. He was going to test it out, see if it felt good, see if he was good to go. And he played really well for like his first game back. Brunson, that man is clutch. Like the Knicks, let's be honest, I feel like they underpaid for him because he is worth more than just his 4 years and like 105 or whatever it is. Like he's just been playing sensational. And my last point before I hand it over to you, what is up with these twin towers for the Cavs and their lack of rebounding in the last like 2 minutes of the game? Just letting the Knicks get like offensive rebound after offensive rebound. It was ridiculous. Like you have 2 legit 7-footers. One was an all-star not too long ago, and Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley's up for Defensive Player of the Year. What is going on if you're the Cavs? I mean, that was pretty much unacceptable.
I guess kind of lack of hustle. I mean, there was a few things I looked at it, and then some things I didn't notice while watching that I picked up on. I guess looking at some of the box stats. I mean, like you said with Brunson, I think you have to look at that as like a legitimate, like he's a legitimate X factor that you have to take into account every single game.
You have to.
and I don't think a lot of people will. Um, Another thing is like it makes you wonder about that Mavs team last year when they went on that little run. Okay, we want to give Jokic like all this like credit, like Jokic all this hype.
Mm-hmm.
How much should be given to Brunson at this point? Because Brunson's proving himself very, very valuable. He's back in the playoffs, and the Mavs are not. um, Randall just getting himself a little double-double. That's quick and easy, like it's nothing. Um, Mitchell went 38 for 8. I mean, that's great. But like you said earlier, the Twin Towers can't rebound. Like there was multiple stretches throughout the game they couldn't rebound. They out rebounded 51 to 38. In terms of turnovers, this was something I found interesting. There was one turnover difference between the two of them. The Cavs had 14. The Knicks had 13. However, the points off turnovers was 26 to 10. The Knicks had 26. And then you got to look at the second chance points. Okay, second chance points. The Knicks had 23 points. The Cavs had 13. So obviously, I guess we kind of call those hustle plays, but hustling, the Knicks just seemed like they kind of wanted it more outside of Mitchell on the Cavs. But then I guess something that we saw in our group chat is why was Osman finishing a series? Well, not
Yes.
finishing a series, closing out
He's
a
closing
game.
out the fourth quarter, though, yeah.
Yeah, and then for the bench for the Cavs, like I have on my paper here, bench question mark because they had 7 whole players play more than 10 minutes. Outside of 7 players, no one played more than 10 minutes. I mean, they had a few guys play like a couple minutes, like 4 or 5 minutes, but we're not counting those. Like that doesn't really count. Like that's not a rotation. A
No.
rotation is you got some actual time to get your shoes clicking, and they had 7 guys, and the Knicks played a 9-man rotation.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk about a series. You can't play a series with 7 guys versus 9 guys. Like that doesn't work.
Not early in the first round, at least. I mean, maybe you get deeper, you tighten the rotation even more, but an early first round matchup, if you can't, I mean, like you said, if you can't go at least 8, 9 deep, it's just going to
At
be
least
tough.
8.
Yeah, I mean, at least 8. And I mean, even like if you look at the Cavs box score, like even the guys that play the high, like some of these guys that play heavy minutes, like Mobley played 38 minutes, it was 4-13. Sure, he gets 11 rebounds, but in the fourth, he was like letting a lot slip through his hands and lack of hustle, whatever the case might be, unexcusable. Um, Okoro, he played 23 minutes. It's not really good.
Why didn't
Um,
he finish the game? That's a good
Karis
question.
LeVert, he usually does play like 6-man type minutes, but for whatever reason, he played 18. I mean, his shot was kind of off, so that's probably a big factor into why he didn't play as much as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean the Cavs. I mean, what we've seen from them all season, they're just really top heavy. So that starting lineup, yeah, man, they're dangerous, right? But once you start digging into that rotation, those guys, aren't as valuable and don't really contribute as much as the starters. So
Yeah, you're gonna look at this like once he starts getting to like 6 and 7 games in, like that 7-man rotation is going to start really, really hurting.
you know,
And then you got to be looking at it for the next series, who they play the next round. Man, you got to be licking your lips if you're Milwaukee. I mean, that sounds real nice. Playing a team with 7 men who just won a 7-game series, 6-game series, or you're the Heat because let's face it, we don't know yet. You're not out of it yet.
we don't, and that's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, it's still early. Yeah, the Knicks took home court advantage away from the Cavs, but I'm sure the Cavs can easily do the same and pull a game off on the Knicks home court and get home court advantage back. But we'll see. Game 2, I believe, is tomorrow, so we shall see on that. And the last game for Saturday is our Warriors versus Kings matchup. Another 3 versus 6 matchup. The Kings are surprisingly the number 3 seed this year after basically a miraculous season. new coach Mike Brown. He used to be like assistant for the Warriors for many, many years. Brought his talents to Sacramento, and I mean, it just immediately you could just see how the culture just changed, and the Kings are fabulous. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, dude, I love the Kings. Who the hell wants to watch defense? Not me. I want points. We're NFL fans. We like the NFL. NFL, like, that's the new way of the NFL. We want points, 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 points. I mean, I get it. I like defense too, but come on, man. If I can watch two guys just light it up all night, which the Kings always seem to find at least two guys to light it up all night, which I think is pretty important.
They got
Moving
firepower.
forward. Yep. I mean, I saw a lot of people giving Sabonis a lot of slack for that performance. The man had a double-double. Sure, he didn't score a whole lot of points.
But he's a double-double machine. That's his thing. He led the NBA in double-doubles.
But he got you rebounds. He got you hustle plays. Yeah, he didn't have a good shooting night. I bet you that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I mean, he's not shooting 5 or 17 again.
No. I mean, you got to also look at it. Kings out-rebounded him 50-41. Offensive rebounds, here's where Sabonis came into factor. 17-9. I mean, he's getting you these important plays. Now, I think what will be interesting moving forward is kind of like this Kings way of playing. Like the Warriors had 31 assists. The Kings only had 18. It's a huge, huge difference in the terms of moving the ball around.
Yeah.
I also get it. The Kings' shots, while passing, wasn't really hitting. That also has to go with the fact that Keegan Murray basically only had 2 points the whole night. Didn't shoot very well. I think he was 1 for 5. But Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox just went to town, had a tear, scoring 70 points. I mean, absolutely absurd. That's over half the points for the team.
Yeah.
But we're also going to look at it like this, too. The Kings can play a 9-man rotation, and it's a solid 9-man rotation. Of the 9 men, the least amount of minutes played by a player was 14 minutes. So they're okay going 9 deep, which, is probably a good thing when the guy on your team who plays the least amount of minutes, Alex Lynn, he's decent. He's fine. He's okay. He's nothing wrong with him.
I don't know. He's kind of bounced around a little bit. Alex Lynn was he was a former top 5 pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but he's found a nice little niche in Kings. Just come into the game and don't shoot. Just grab rebounds. Got it, boss. But I mean, they can go. I mean, they can go 9 men deep, 14 players to the least played guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the Warriors were very top heavy. They played basically a 7-man rotation, or we're going to call it 8, but it was a very debatable 8. And I mean, I'm going to call it a very debatable 8.
Yeah.
So
Steve Kerr is always. I mean, one thing about Steve Kerr, he always really tightens his rotation, especially if it's a road game. He's not going to play those guys he would usually play in the regular season. Like Jermichael Green's he's a nice talent, but he's not going to play as much. Anthony Lamb, no. Baldwin Jr., no. Moses Moody, I thought at one point he was going to check in, but Kerr just pulled him back. So I don't know what that was about. But Steve Kerr's rotation has always been kind of extremely, tight and unforgiving in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we're going to look at the Kings, though, they gotta have Kevin Huerter step up. We've seen him have big games in the playoffs, but he's got to do something.
Mr. Hoarder.
And I mean, I think Draymond just needs to score some points. I think Draymond just needs to have a game.
You're asking too much, man.
Draymond needs to go in there and have a game where he scores 10 points and prove to the other team that he's got it a little bit.
Yeah, he definitely has to be. He has to
scare him a little.
I mean, he has to not take. I mean, don't take threes, but like you said, let's drive to the basket 2 or 3 times a game. Fake a
come on, man.
Fake a dribble handoff, turn the corner, and just attempt a layup or attempt a floater. I mean, I'm sure he has that in his bag. If he doesn't, there's something wrong. So.
Yeah, what happened to his bag? Any little bit he had.
little bit of bag that he had. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just from what I saw, it was just a really, really competitive game, a shootout. Um, let's talk about that Steph's last attempt to tie the game. What did you think about that? He had 2-ish seconds left. Not too sure why he attempted like a one-legged floater from like the 3-point line. I didn't like that. I didn't like that shot. He could have easily just set his feet and took a nice, somewhat contested three.
I mean, there's two ways to look at it. If he makes a shot, you're saying what an amazing shot. You're saying that was awesome. I mean, when you're that good, when you're at that level, it's like, yeah, I could have done that. And you're talking about something that's hindsight's 2020, or something you were thinking in your mind as you were watching it. But for him, he was probably feeling himself. He was probably feeling it. I mean, God's sake, the guy has 4 rings. He can feel himself all he wants.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna tell him he can't feel himself. And maybe he really felt like he felt comfortable in that kind of shot, taking it at that moment. I'm not gonna tell him no. Steve Kerr ain't gonna tell him, but damn sure ain't gonna tell him no.
No.
I mean, if he makes the shot, we're all saying right now, different tone of voice, Markel. So Lawrence, what the hell do you think of that shot? That was a great shot by you. You know what I mean? You would say it differently. So I think that maybe the fact that he got a little comfortable,
a little too comfy. Because I mean, if you think about it, like if they had to steal one game on the road, it felt like this was the one because the Warriors didn't really play like extremely well, but they played for their standards this year on the road. They played pretty well. So,
but you also got to look at it like the Kings also didn't play very well, so that also is going into your factor at that. But they're throwing punches, they're feeling themselves out. I'm pretty sure that the Warriors are looking at that as experienced as they are. Like, look how vulnerable they are. Look how winnable that was. Okay, we lost the first one on the road. Maybe we'll see how tonight goes. But they got to be eyeing themselves like down the road. Like, we can pounce on these guys. Defend home court. We can pounce on these guys. I think they can. I think they can easily pounce on the Kings. They proved that they, even not having a great game, they can still do something to scare them a little bit. I mean, gosh sakes, their bench had more points than expected, but also Andrew Wiggins is coming off the bench, so that would happen.
That's changing this game, by the way. He's not coming.
I didn't expect him to stay on the bench.
Yeah, and if he does, he's probably gonna come off the bench like 2 minutes,
4 minutes in.
Yeah, like 2 minutes
in.
Yeah, and play starting minutes. He's not playing what did he play? Like 16 minutes or something? No, he played 28.
17. Oh, 28.
Yeah.
DiVincenzo's a starter and played 19, so let's be realistic.
Yeah. Expect that to change.
DiVincenzo knows what role's about to go down. He's okay with it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's kind of similar to what he had at the Bucks.
The Bucks, yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, pretty much that's it for Saturday night, guys. Coming up, we will dive into Sunday's action, starting with Goat James and the Los Angeles Lakers. Coming up next. All right, we're back. So now we're gonna deep dive into Sunday's NBA playoff action. We're gonna go in the same order as we did with Saturday's game, so basically in time order. First game to kick off Sunday was Lakers versus Memphis. What did you think about that series first game, Lawrence?
Well, I think Memphis did everything right up until Ja getting hurt. Now that Ja's hurt, let's talk about. Let's see, Lakers in 5 games, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. We gotta see.
I mean, we can talk stats. I get it. It was a good game. I mean, let's not get it twisted. It was a good game up until Ja went out. I mean, something I noticed they played an 8-man rotation with Ja. Without Ja, that means there's going to be a 7-man rotation, which is going to be a little bit up in the air if they can keep that up against a 9-man rotation like the Lakers were playing.
Yeah.
Something other that's big was Dylan Brooks was in foul trouble most of that game.
That's every game.
But, well, let's talk about it. Dylan Brooks in foul trouble most of that game. If Ja's out for a little bit of time, that becomes essentially a 6-man rotation without Dylan Brooks having to play multiple minutes on the bench. So, I mean, on the Grizzlies menu, what are you going to do? I mean, you got to look at it in a different light. We're always used to talking about the Memphis Grizzlies as this like really deep team that can like cause problems with their depth. But I mean, we didn't really see much depth on that team on display after the Ja injury or throughout the game before his injury. So I guess I'm going to throw it back to you and ask you, in your opinion, how do you fix the problem? Because Steven Adams is gone, Brandon Clark's gone. Who do you got?
How do I fix it if I'm the Grizzlies? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because you want to make it a series. You want to give them a run for release for their money, but how are you going to do that?
If I'm the Grizzlies, you got to hope and pray that Ja can come back. I mean, after the game, he was I think the reporters in the locker room trying to get some post-game comments, and he couldn't even, like, clench his hand, really, his right hand, and he had to, like, throw his socks to his teammates so they could, like, unravel them for him so he could put them on. So, obviously, the kid's in major, major pain, and it's not looking good. So, maybe he takes some high-profile painkillers, but I don't know. Like, his hand is probably borderline broken or fractured because I don't know if anyone who's listening or watching us on YouTube, if anyone saw that replay of him landing after AD took that charge, it did not look good. Like, his whole, like, half his hand, like, bent backwards. And we got to take this into account. His hand was already injured from some random play that happened back in April. So his hand is already bothering him, somewhat. So it doesn't look good for them. Of course, Tyus Jones is a very good backup point guard. He could start for pretty much any other team who doesn't have like a star quality guard. So that's good in that sense. But in terms of trying to match the Lakers' firepower, I said during my predictions that the Lakers had more firepower. So now that you just lost your superstar, it's slim pickings at this point. They're playing the rookie, not Lofton Jr., but Roddy. He's a rookie. They played him. I mean, the box score says 9 minutes, but when Tillman and Jaren Jackson needed breathers, that's the guy who they went to. So I'm sorry, but the rookie's not going to keep AD off the boards and keep AD from scoring at will.
Yep.
So if you're the Grizzlies, you're just holding out hope that Ja can come back and be 75% of himself, 80%. Yeah, just try to extend the series as long as you can, so he can continuously try to get better health wise. Well, what would you do? I mean, that's all I got for the Grizz.
Oh, I don't have anything for the Grizz. My whole thing is they're going to run into the fact that they're going to have a lot of foul trouble. The fact Dylan Brooks doesn't stay out of trouble. He's always in foul trouble. So now you're going to have to play a 7-man rotation because that's what they were playing.
And then you got to think about it too. Jaren Jackson, this is like an off game because Jaren Jackson is usually in foul trouble too because he's always going for blocks.
Yeah.
So this is like.
I think that was something that he should have stopped doing at some point in the game during that game because he wasn't getting any blocks and they weren't getting any rebounds. They weren't getting rebounds, and you're the only big man on that lineup at one point. You got to at least go for him. He wasn't going for him. The only time the Grizzlies were getting rebounds was when the ball popped out. fly balls in the air. I mean, it was. I don't know. I guess the coaching got questionable once John went out. I guess the coach was just like, "Damn, I wasn't prepared for this one." I think I think if Steven Adams was still on the team, obviously he's hurt, but if Steven Adams wasn't hurt, I don't know how much we would say this is like detrimental, but the fact that like, okay, you really only have one true big man that like can get around and move around that paint. He's gonna get into foul trouble. You can never have Dylan Brooks not get into foul trouble. Yeah, that's all I got is because I don't know what to do. Like I wouldn't know what to do. I don't get paid enough to go figure out what to do. Maybe if you let me watch film day in, day night, I could figure out something. But I really truly like what you can see, what your possible outcomes are. It's very up in the air and questionable.
Yeah, I mean, Tillman's a serviceable big. He'll get you 10 and 8, 8 and 10. But he's not putting up monster numbers. He's not stopping AD or LeBron. So for the Grizz, it's not looking good. On the flip side, for Goat James and the Lakers, you're feeling pretty good. You already stole one on the road. And let's be honest, if Ja doesn't play next game, the Lakers have a good chance to steal another on the road. And they don't play until Wednesday. So you're giving LeBron like what, today, Tuesday, and then like most of the day Wednesday to recover. That's a recipe for a sweep in my eyes, especially if Ja doesn't come back. The Lakers go up 2-0, they're not losing at home, and they're going to take care of business.
Well, let's see if it works out for you that way. I mean, and next up on the chopping block, we got Miami versus Milwaukee, which, let's face it, this was a weird one to kind of gauge. Yeah, it was a good game. It probably was a good watch for you, but it was a good game.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's like the talking points are a little hard now because Giannis didn't play, but Giannis' MRI came back, and Giannis is good to go. He just has to figure out how to make his butt not hurt. I mean, to be fair, that looked like it was a big fall on his lower back. I mean, Tyler Hero's hurt.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
He's not coming back.
They already said 4 to 6 weeks, so no.
If you look at it right now, the Heat shot 60%. They're probably not doing that again.
Yeah, it's not normal.
So you got to think of it also like this. They only played an 8-man rotation without Hero. With Hero in the game, they played an 8-man rotation. So without Hero, there's technically a 7-man rotation. But Duncan Robinson played, I think it was 4 minutes, and Oladipo played 0 minutes. Do you believe Oladipo's coming back at all in the series? Is Duncan Robinson going to have to step up for him? Who's coming off? Who's doing something for Hero? And then we'll move to the Bucks after that. I asked that question for you because this is your team. I hope you got an answer for me.
Yeah, I mean, Oladipo's kind of fallen out of Spo's rotation as of late. He did get that one start once we pretty much sealed our fate as at least a 7 seed. And Oladipo did come out that one game. I think it was Washington, actually, and he like went off randomly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he didn't play. I don't think he played in any of the playing games, and he didn't play last game. But expect him to. I don't know if he's going to start because the starting lineup is probably going to be Gabe, Strus. They're probably going to play Caleb, Kevin Love. Oh wait, now that's too many people. Probably Gabe, Strus, Jimmy, Love, and Bam. Well, it might start Caleb. It's either gonna be Caleb or K-Love at that four spot, and then expect all people to be that 6 man off the bench because as of right now, don't really have anyone that we can trust to play 6 man type of minutes. I mean, sure Lowry can, but he kind of re-injured his knee. I think is bothering him again, in that last playing game. He sat out the last couple minutes of that Bulls playing game. So expect Oladipo to play heavy minutes. Expect them to give Duncan another shot. If he can play a lick of defense, he'll be invaluable, at least in drawing out Milwaukee defenders, opening up the lane for Jimmy and Bam to drive and kick out and dish, help facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I like our chances. We stole a game on the road. If Giannis is out, I like our chances even more. But it seems like he's going to be limited, or he's going to play, but he's probably going to be limited in his like mobility because he did come back into the game after that blocking foul on K Love, but he just wasn't moving good. I mean, you could tell it was really bothering him. So hopefully, a couple of days of rest helps to ease the pain. But I imagine he probably bruised his tailbone, so I don't expect him to be like up and 100% again. I mean, that stuff
Icy
hurts.
hot. Icy hot, man. Icy hot. Shaq said it. Icy hot.
He's gonna need that. He's gonna need that big old needle, that cortisone shot.
So I guess another thing to look at is for the Bucks, Drew Holiday got in foul trouble really early on. Basically, didn't play a lot of the first half. Middleton and Portis, it was basically their show with Holiday with the little bit of less minutes he got, but 16 assists. I mean, I think the Bucks proved that they can easily take this game. I think the Heat also benefited from Hero playing majority of the game, not all of the game, but he played a good portion of the game.
He played 19 minutes.
He played a good portion of the game. I know it says Giannis played 9 minutes, but it was more like 6. It was more like a whole ass 6. He came in there and did his thing for another 3, but didn't do anything at all. So I don't really know we didn't really get much out of this Bucks team, but I mean, you picked up Jamison Crowder for a reason. Maybe you should use him a little bit more. I mean, you went out and got him. He's very serviceable in defense. And if the Heat are going to shoot 60%, which they normally don't do, but you can let the Heat shoot 60%. Maybe throw Crowder out there a little bit more. Bobby Portis would love another big in that paint besides Brook Lopez for a couple minutes. So don't get too small in the lineup.
Yeah, the Bucks are really. I mean, if you think about it, their front court's pretty, tall. So it's just weird that they, like you said, didn't throw out Jay Crowder. Bobby Portis played heavy minutes, but I mean, he was in foul trouble too. He had 4 fouls, but he gave you 21 points and 8 rebounds. I mean, Bobby Portis is a rebounding machine, and for whatever reason, he just loves to play good against Miami. I don't know, maybe he has a grudge against us or something, but the kid always like plays well, very, very well. Brook Lopez is Brook Lopez, holding down the paint, getting blocks and rebounds. And Chris Middleton played really well. I thought, maybe his knee was going to bother him because he did leave the last game that he played. He left early for some soreness. So he played pretty well. We'll see. I mean, like you said, Miami's not going to shoot 60% from the field again. We damn sure aren't going to score 130 points again. That's for certain. But, I mean, if Giannis doesn't play or if he's limited in his mobility, it should be interesting to see. I mean, the tables have definitely turned. We stole one on the road. I'm interested to see how Game 2 is going to go.
Yeah, I think he spiced it up a lot more than we thought the series was going to be. I mean, it's still going to be a good series. It just depends on how much they can get out of, I guess, kind of the rotational pieces for the Bucks. Like, certain players are going to have to step up a lot more than they normally do in the past. Even if Giannis comes back, he's not going to be 100%. He might just be one of those, we're going to film out there and he's going to be a gimmick. He's going to be a gimmick piece. He's not really going to do much, but distract. I mean, I think this is a good chance for Duncan Robinson as well for the Heat. I mean, the guy did so good in the bubble. So
that was the bubble. That was years ago. That was 3 years ago.
Hey man, don't hate.
I mean, he shoots lights out one year, and the next year, understandably, he gets hurt. But his defense just like, all right, your shooting is up here. Like, can you bring your defense like at least here? His defense is like the bar is like on the floor for him in terms of defense. Like, he just hasn't raised it. It's just unacceptable. And if I'm Spo, I mean, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't play him. But what Spo should have done, because something like this could have happened, Spo should have, eased him the last 15, 20 games of the regular season. He should have eased Duncan back into the rotation, give him 10 to 15 minutes a game so he can get his, like, shooting touch back. Because now you're just, like, kind of throwing him, cold into the fire. The man hasn't really played a lot, shot a lot, besides, practice. That's not going to count. That doesn't count for anything.
Oh, well, yeah, you're true on that one. You're true on that one. I mean, the real game that we really need to be talking, the game that really threw a wrench in some of our plans. Clippers and Suns here. That was a little rough.
Yeah,
I'll let you start, and I'll come back on it.
Yeah, Suns in 4.
I said 5, bro. I said 5. Dog.
I heard that from a wise man once, not too long
5,
ago.
Bro. I said 5.
But yeah, no, Suns in 4 isn't going to happen. Suns in 5 isn't going to happen. What I said about the Suns is pretty much getting proven true. The Suns don't play defense. It is very, very evident. I understand the Clippers without Paul George is still a pretty deep team. Kawhi is playing out of his mind. He's finally starting to play on both ends again. His dominance is showing too because the man is scoring at a high clip and he's locking down the best defenders. He was on KD for a good chunk of last night's game. Like, I was impressed because I thought, hey, they might just, stick Russ on KD. Even though Russ is smaller, he knows how to play against KD. That's his old buddy, his old teammate. If anyone knows how to guard him, it's probably him, right? But no, Kawhi stuck KD a lot of the game. And we can look at the box score. Like, Kawhi had 38 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Pretty immaculate game. Big Zoo, 12 points, 15 rebounds. I mean, and it's crazy that the Magic Johnson gave up Big Zoo for basically nothing a couple years ago. And now look, I'm on the Clippers just thriving. Mm-hmm. Russ, he shot really bad, 3 of 19, 1 of 6 from 3, but made those 2 timely free throws at the end to kind of seal the deal. And then with the forced turnover on Booker at the end, where he like kind of knocked the ball out of his hand and then threw it off of him out of bounds. Mm-hmm. So nice timely plays by Russ, even though he obviously didn't shoot very well. So the Clippers are just deep, man, and they're going to give Suns a run for the money. And even though I predicted that PG might return at some point in the series, Woj did report before the game that it was unlikely that he comes back. So do I stick with my prediction of Suns in 7? Yeah. But am I feeling worried? Yeah, because if the Clippers can steal another one on the road, it's not looking good because the Suns, like, they just can't defend, and they're not very deep, are they? They're not really deep.
Oh, I was going to bring that up as soon as you let me talk. Let's go into it. So one thing with the Clippers was high hustle. One thing with the Suns, low hustle. There was pretty much no hustle. Like I said earlier, not understanding why Trae Young shot less shots than Murray. Okay, I get it. Tony Craig had a pretty good game, shooting-wise. But, like, Tony Craig took 12 shots. Like,
Tony Craig.
He's taking 12 shots. He did shoot 9 for 12. So let's be realistic. That was pretty good. It's pretty good. Can't be hating. But DeAndre Ayton shot more than him. Devin Booker shot more than him. Come on now. It's Kevin Durant. He had the most points, and he had less shots than the rest of those guys. I mean, honestly, I don't even know how to describe it because, I mean, I'm looking at the team, and they basically played a 6-man lineup because there was the bench
Oh, don't
All of
look
them
at the
had less than
bench.
8 minutes. They all had less than 8 minutes.
Don't look
I
at the
mean,
bench.
I also have to look at this bench and think to myself, okay, Josh Okogie has been playing really good closing out the season. Didn't play him. He got 6 minutes. Bismack Biyombo, didn't use him. He played 4 minutes. Terrence Ross, what was the point of going out and getting him if you're going to play him 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Ish Wainwright, okay. I don't know why he's playing more minutes than Okogie, Ross, and Bismack. And then Jock Landale, I don't know why he's playing so many minutes in comparison to the other ones. I mean, if you look at the guys who didn't play because of coach's decision, you got Darius Baisley. Darius Baisley. Darius Baisley did great with the Thunder. I'm not going to say he did outstanding or he was a tremendous player, but as a role guy, getting things done for the Thunder, Thunder's made the play-in. Darius Baisley was a good part of that. Didn't play him. Damian Lee, he's been part of some championship teams with the Warriors. Didn't play him. Don't get it. I don't get it. I mean,
Yes.
You could throw Damian Lee in there for freaking 8 minutes. You're going to get more than you got combined on the whole bench. The entire bench scored 10 points. If you threw Damian Lee out there for 10 minutes, he'd probably get you 10 points.
Yeah,
So
it seems like Monty was just just panicked, I guess. It just, hey, I'm going to play my starters heavy minutes, and we're just going to have to ride them out and see if we can get this W. It's kind of scary. Yeah. You're playing Kevin Durant 45 minutes, the first game of the series. Mm-hmm. Playing Booker 43 minutes. Playing Chris Paul 39 minutes. Like, what?
I mean, it's safe to say that Mason Plumlee outplayed the entire Suns bench, besides Shamet, but no, we'll include Shamet in there. He outplayed the whole entire Suns bench. He had 11 rebounds and 7 points. I mean, you want to combine the entire Suns bench, they didn't even get to 11 rebounds. If you combine the entire Suns bench, they played way more minutes than Plumlee and scored 10 points. So, questionable. Norman Powell scored more points than all of them. So, I mean, he was pretty much almost in there for 6th man of the year. But
yeah,
the fact that they didn't use their bench was just a little questionable. And let's face it, the Clippers didn't even have to go that deep into the rotation if they didn't want to, because they still got Brandon Boston on there that they sometimes use, but they didn't need to use them.
Yeah, Ty Lue didn't even get into his bag. Yeah,
he didn't even have to use his defenders. He didn't have to use his defenders because he had Russ out there running after everybody. So, and Kawhi Leonard probably isn't going to play 42 minutes again, but
I mean, with a close game like this, he has to, but preferably.
I think this was a setting the tone kind of game. I think Leonard played 42 minutes to set the tone to the rest of the Suns team to say, this ain't going to be easy. I'm your worst nightmare.
Yeah. So now they can afford to kind of lose game 2 if Ty Lue doesn't want to play heavy minutes. Because, hey, you stole one on the road. You kind of take home court advantage from them. Now you just got to go back to L.A., win your 2 games, and then it's looking kind of spicy for the Suns, who a lot of people have as the title favorite. So, I don't know. If you're the Suns, if you're KD, I'm not panicking, but I think it starts on defense. You guys got to lock in Ayton. You got to lock in, man. You're the number 1 pick for a reason. Why are you not playing better? I mean, you played – Ayton played 33 minutes. He had 1 block. Really? 33 minutes, 8 rebounds. Really?
He got rebounded by Kevin Durant.
You letting Big Zoo out-rebound you. You the former number 1 overall pick. You went over Luka and Trey. And you getting 8 rebounds and 1 block in 33 minutes?
No. He let Mason Plumlee out-rebound him in 17 minutes.
Ridiculous.
I mean, I think something about this Clippers team that no one's really talking about is the fact that, let's think about the chemistry Russell Westbrook has with some of the guys on the team. I understand he was picked up late. Yeah. He's played with Aaron Gordon before.
Yeah.
He's played with Paul George before.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's uncomfortable coming to this Clippers team. And you got to look at it like he's probably friends with some of these guys. Like him and Paul George teamed up for a reason.
Yeah.
Him and Eric Gordon when they were in the Raptors, suffering back in the day with each other. I mean, there's just little chemistry snippets that you can get from the team that probably makes Russ like give up his little wanting to shoot so many times and be more of a team player.
I don't know about that. He still shot 19 times. That's 19 too many, if you're asking me.
Well, he did have more misses than Durant had shots. So
this is true. Yeah, this series is definitely interesting. It's not over yet, just because the Clippers stole a game on the road. Suns have a lot of firepower.
Series.
Definitely the most interesting.
Besides Knicks and Cavs.
The Suns do have firepower. Just got to lock in on defense, and I'm sure everything will be all right. Moving on to the last game of Sunday night. I don't know if you caught much of it because I surely didn't because it was way past my bedtime. But we have the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves, the number one seed in the West. Nuggets versus the Timberwolves, who just snuck in via the play-in. How do we still have the same feelings as we did when we made our predictions?
Oh yeah, Nuggets in 4.
Oh yeah, Nuggets in 4?
I think I said 5, but I said 4 or 5.
I
think I said 4 for the Thunder, 5 for the Timberwolves. I could still stick by that. I think the Timberwolves might win one at home, but I think it's a pretty big obvious factor. The fact that Jokic is 20 times better than Kat and Gobert. I mean,
just cooking them.
He cooked them all night. He didn't even have to score points. He got assists. He got rebounds. He did every single thing you wanted to. I think. Okay, so the Nuggets did everything you wanted them to do. You're the better team. You were an 8-point spread favorite. Go out and prove it. Well, they went out there and proved it. They proved why they were so much better than the Timberwolves. Was something that I think might be a little noteworthy was throughout the season, the Nuggets were one of the best shooting teams in terms of getting the best shots and shot percentage, field goal percentage. But they shot 64% from the free throw line last night. And if you're going to move forward, I get it. Maybe they didn't care as much because they were beating the crap out of them. But, like, you were at home and you only shot 64% on the free throw line. What happens when you go in a hostile environment? It's going to go down a little bit. Maybe not 10%, but you can't be shooting 64%. You saw how dangerous free throws can be. The Raptors already know too much about that.
Yep. Ask them. They know firsthand. Yeah, I mean, everyone has a bad shooting night, and I can see it happening from the free throw line for any team. But you're right. Not the best outing from the charity stripe. Just look at the box scores. Like, yeah, Jokic didn't have a super good game by his standards, but like when he was cooking, he was cooking. He had 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 13 points, shot 6 of 12. Murray played pretty well with 24 points, 4 of 10 from 3, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. And just looking, like, going down the box score, like, they played everyone besides Thomas Bryant. So I think that lets you know what type of game it was. It was, for the most part, a blowout. Mm-hmm. So just giving, some of the younger guys valuable playoff minutes, just, inserting them, seeing what they can do in a playoff atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Wolves, they're just inferior. And, yeah, they snuck in, but do they honestly deserve to be here? Probably not. The Wolves have just been subpar all season and kind of just snuck their way in here and giving the Nuggets kind of like a warm up. So,
is Anthony Edwards 100%? Because he didn't feel like he was 100%.
No, I mean the kid hasn't played well. What against the Lakers didn't play well. Didn't play well against the Thunder.
He played okay against the Pelicans, but I think that's when he got injured. I mean, Gobert and Towns can't defend the 3-point line. And of all people, Aaron Gordon was actually shooting some threes and making them. So I mean, that tells you one thing because Aaron Gordon loves to hang out in the paint and get some points down there. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. did whatever he wanted almost the whole game. I mean, I watched highlights, so I can't even tell you what happened the whole game. I watched highlights. That's how much I couldn't stay up because I got grown man things to do the next day.
Yeah, but no, let's talk about that. Why did they have the game so late at 10:30? A playoff game at 10:30 when most of America is going to bed at 10:30.
East Coast time is gone. I mean, even on Central Time, that's like 9:30. Okay, that's still
pushing
late.
It. Yeah, you're pushing it. Why did the game start so late?
Only got the West Coast to watch it. I guess because they didn't think it was going to be very, very good of a game. I mean, you also got to look at tonight's game with the Kings and Warriors starting at 10 o'clock.
They're starting at 10 though, so that's better.
It's not great.
Yeah, but at least you can get to halftime like at 11, and then if it's a blowout, you go to bed. If it's close, I'm gonna stay up and watch it.
You'd be tired the next day at work, yeah. But I'm sure.
That's why you got Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Oh yeah,
free advertisement in here.
Yeah, my go-to. Can't lie about that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The Timberwolves are just not it. Ant-Man, not it. Cat and Gobert couldn't guard me in the paint, it seems like. So, man, what an off-season for the Timberwolves is going to be.
What a trade.
And what a trade. You really did your work on resetting the trade market and ruining a lot of teams' trade perspectives because you want to give up 4 first-rounders for a big man who always gets exposed come playoff time. Good job with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. That seems like to be all the playoff games that happen Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
To end our show today, we are going to go with our rapid fire coming up next. All right, and we're back. Now to finish our show, let's do a little rapid fire. First up, talk about some NFL trade rumors. First up, Buda Baker this weekend reportedly requested a trade from the Cardinals. Lawrence, where do you see Buda Baker next season?
To be honest with you, I don't know where he's going to land. I think this is one of those things where he's requesting a trade. I don't know how much of that they're going to honor, because pretty much the Cardinals do not want to get rid of him. They've already made that clear. So for him moving, I'm not really going to buy too much into it. But if there's a few teams out there that could really use a talent like Buda, I'm going to say it's some teams. I'm going to say first, Cardinals are going to probably keep him out of the NFC. They're going to try to let him go only to the AFC. So if we're going to look at AFC teams, you got to look at a glaring hole that some teams have always had is the Raiders. Always needed a safety, constantly in need of a safety. That's a good piece to go get. Another team is, let's face it, the Bengals. You guys have been torn to shreds in your safety department by any team that's willing to pay for them. Yeah, you guys have been torn to shreds. I mean, outside of those few teams, I mean, yeah, I can see a team wanting a safety here and there, but no one's in desperate need of a safety. I mean, some of these teams have let their safeties walk this offseason because they thought they were going into the season, pretty well off with their safety core. I mean, otherwise you'd go out and try to attack it in the draft or something. But if you're going to try to make some big change, I think Buda Baker goes to a team who kind of isn't going to win now mode. So I don't know how much that makes the Raiders a play, but the Raiders always like to make moves like that. But I think that definitely makes a team like the Bengals like a very big move for them, that they would probably fill up 2 holes losing the guys they have in the offseason.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see us trading unless we can somehow make Jonah Williams involved in that trade because that would be a perfect trade. Kind of swap salary for salary almost. Both both players are disgruntled, don't want to play for their franchises right now. So that swap makes sense if they can make the money work. But I think it was last reported the Eagles might be in the hunt for Buda Baker. Don't know if they have money after one of their players just got a very big bag, and we'll talk about that in a little
Hmm.
bit. But I don't know. It's just another trade rumor that may or may not die down. So we'll have to see.
Hmm.
Up next, Dalvin Cook. The Vikings haven't decided whether they want to trade him or cut him or I don't know, keep
Trying to
him.
save. They're trying to save some money. I mean, yeah, I get it. They're trying to save some money, and it's been kind of a proven thing in this like kind of day and age in football. Like, kind of paying a running back is kind of a little. I don't want to say idiotic, but I mean, yeah, you can get a young running back for pretty cheap, and Dalvin's contract's pretty high. And you got to think about the where the Vikings are sitting at in the draft and needs of other teams in front of them. There's a good chance that they can get Robinson uh, from the from Texas, University of Texas out there. I mean, if they can pick up that kind of play, I mean, I mean, hats to them. That'd be a great move. It, pretty much a we don't know if he's an NFL day one starter, but we can pretty much assume he's an NFL day one starter. But in terms of where Dalvin Cook would go, knowing what other teams know about them possibly cutting him, I think if their asking price is too high in terms of a trade, like wanting a high too high of a draft pick, I'm just gonna wait for him to cut him and try to sign him. So I think that hurts his stock just a tiny tad
What do you think is too
moving
high?
forward.
What would you? What's the line you're
Uh,
drawing at?
I'm not. I mean, I'm not for that contract he has, and for what I may or may not get. I can't spend more than a third round. I mean, I can't go higher than third round.
No,
I think third round's the highest I can go.
I was gonna say fourth. You can easily in this draft find a good running back in the fourth, so I probably wouldn't do more than a fourth.
Yeah, the third round's the highest you can go, in my opinion. So, I mean, that's just kind of his stock. I mean, he's better than a for third and fourth round pick, but get what I would give up to get him at his age and his salary. I can't see it. I mean, that's a little rough.
Yeah.
I mean, another player that's looking on the move is DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I know I haven't let you chime into this Dalvin Cook thing yet. I mean, you told me that fourth round pick is your go-to plan, but a player like D Hop, where do you think he goes? Do you think he goes? Why do you think he goes?
I don't know. It seems like the Cardinals want to move off that contract as well, even though it's proven D Hop is still like a top five receiver. Is and he's still young. Like he's still what 31. Like
Hmm.
I think it's insane. Um. So where can I see him? For some reason, I feel like the Eagles, but I mean the Eagles already have two good receivers, so that's obviously not feasible. Um, I honestly don't know unless the Raiders. I mean, we already threw that name out there. The Raiders, if they want to bolster their, uh, well, they have Devontae Adams, so I don't even know if that's going to work. So honestly, I don't know. I don't. I mean, they're definitely not going to cut him, but
Hmm.
do you? Do
I
you?
mean, I got some teams in mind that I could see going for it. I mean, so personally, I can see the Lions making a move for him, getting a big ball catching guy outside of Amon Ra. I mean, that's pretty electric. That's pretty scary. I mean, it would be in Detroit has some money to spend. That would be a great move for Detroit. Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, you got Christian Kirk. He's a speed guy. Doesn't have the most sure of hands. Um, they brought back the tight end Ingram for another year. He's pretty much a solidified, respectable tight end. But I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you give him another weapon like that. I don't know. That's a little scary. You get Trevor Lawrence another like backup plan like that. That's a good move. Uh, I know this is going to be biasly saying, but Carolina definitely. You get this rookie Bryce Young. You give him a DeAndre Hopkins because if you look at that Carolina's receiving room, there's no standout amazing threat. Carolina has some money to spend, especially down the road as well. Like next year, their salary cap is by far the one of the highest in the league in terms of what they can spend. So maybe get D Hop on a light year one contract, but make it heavy down the road. He might sign for that. Um, my last one is New York Giants. Uh, I think they just re-signed Daniel. They just gave Daniel Jones not a bag, but they gave Daniel Jones some money,
Oh, it was a bag.
and
40 million is a bag.
he doesn't really have the greatest of weapons to go with that bag. So, okay, we believe in you, Daniel. So here is said wide receiver to solidify thy bag, per se. So, yeah, I mean, those are the teams I think are the most highly in regard. And most of those guys lie in the NFC. I think a lot of these AFC teams, they know what they got in quarterback because they know what they got in wide receiver talent. So I don't think we're looking um, too much there. I think D Hop will end up in a NFC team as much as the Cardinals probably won't want to do it.
Yeah. At this point, you don't have too many options, so it's probably going to go to the biggest and highest bidder.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Up next, we have the biggest news of the day: Jalen Hurts signing his big bag, 5 years, $255 million, 179 guaranteed. By far the biggest contract ever given out in NFL history. Even though it doesn't have the guarantees like Deshaun's contract, I think the AAV, the average annual value, is the highest of any contract so far.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand why they gave it to him. He's improved every single year. Um, he he always shows outstanding hustle. Um, he's great for morale. Like he keeps his troops strong willed. Always keeps the battle moving forward. I think there's a reason why he got that bag. Now, the question now becomes how much is that going to hurt you? Because let's face it, in a year or two from now, you won't have anybody. You can't afford anyone. So the Eagles are definitely in a all in win now kind of mindset. That's 100% how you have to look at it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, he's getting a lot of money up front, and like I said, the AAV is very, very large. So you have one guy taking up like a third of your cap space every single season. It's going to be hard to keep around Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, some of these other guys on the defensive side of the ball. Some of these guys are just going to start walking, and very much a win now mode. But I congratulate him. He very well deserves it. Could have been the MVP this past season if he didn't get hurt. He definitely was on the track. Outstanding QB, top five, maybe top three, depending on who you like, but very, very, very big bag. And our last topic. So the Commanders, we thought, pretty much sealed the deal on Friday. If you caught that episode, to sell the team to the Josh Harris majority group, which included Magic Johnson and a local DC billionaire. But apparently, there's been another bid submitted by Brian Davis, a DC native, for $7 billion, all in cash. Isn't this kind of last minute and just out of place?
Where to get the $7 billion?
Reportedly, he has some intellectual property that's somehow valued at $50 billion, and I'm guessing either he sold shares of the company that he owns that owns the IP, or he's leveraging the valuation that some company or some other groups of people valued his IP at. Like,
Mhm.
I guess I don't know. It's just weird because, like we said on last episode, we thought the deal was sealed, and
I think
even though it was just a handshake, it was pretty much sealed for us, right?
I'm pretty strong in the fact that it's sealed. Um, I don't one, I don't know if he has the money, and two, it's just like one of those things. It's like, okay, this sounds like one of those things. It's like way too good to be true.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm not buying it. I think it's just, he said, she said. I think it's just something that to add some more spice to rumors that may or may not need to be there. So if more happens with it, maybe I'll start reading into it. But right at this moment, I'm pretty much sure Joe Harris is the new owner.
yeah. Unless we hear definitively how this man got this amount of money in such a short like time frame, I'm pretty much sold on Josh Harris owning the Commanders. Um, like you said, it's one of those too good to be true type of moments. And I mean, I don't want to say that he's doing anything nefarious, but it just doesn't seem right, doesn't sound right. So we'll just have to see how this thing plays out. But yeah, that is our rapid fire for today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether you're watching us on YouTube or if you're, tuning in via Spotify. We appreciate you. Lawrence, any last thoughts before we sign off?
I don't know if anyone heard it. Last episode, I said Carolina Hurricanes money line, 60-minute money line. If you didn't know, they just cashed their ticket, so taking it straight to the pay window.
All right. For those of you, might want to tune in and catch these little gems that Lawrence is dropping. Might make you some money, might not. We'll see. We gotta keep like tabs of like your record. Like you're 1-0 right now. We gotta see like over the course of the year, like how much money you're making our viewers.
All right, I can do that. Whenever I feel confident, I'll put it out there. I felt confident in Carolina. I threw it out there. We'll see who I got coming up in a few days.
Sounds good. All right, folks. This is episode 2 of the MTL Sports Podcast. Please catch us on TikTok and Twitter at MTL Sports Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching if you're watching on YouTube. And we will see you next episode. See ya.
See y'all.